It's Patrick from Halfwheel, and this is the Vector-Icon 4, a new wide flat flame that joins a small but growing segment of the cigar lighter world. Now, it also offers something you're not going to find on many other lighters, flat flame or otherwise, and that is a touch-sensitive ignition panel that uses a USB-powered rechargeable battery to provide the spark instead of a traditional mechanical piezo ignition. Now, that panel is a staple of Vector's Icon line, going back to the original Icon, which was a triple flame torch. Then the Icon 2 moved those three flames into a triangular arrangement. The Icon 3 was a larger tabletop quad flame. The Icon 4, which is this lighter, goes back to a portable design. It measures 3¼ inches tall, 1½ inches wide, and about 5/8 of an inch thick. At 3.8 ounces, it has some decent heft in the hand without being overly heavy or bulky. Now, the Icon 4 is available in 8 colors. This one is called Copper Satin. There's also Gunmetal Satin, Black Matte, Black Crackle Matte, Sparkle Blue, Sparkle Black, Red Lacquer, and Prism, which is kind of a multicolor purple blue base, but shows a lot of different colors depending on the light. Now, all are priced at $95 and come with the company's no-proof warranty, which the company says will have your lighter returned in just 1 to 2 weeks should you need to send it in for service. All you have to do is pay for shipping as part of that process. Now, beyond the flame, the Icon 4 offers a larger than normal flame adjuster down here on the bottom, though it's one you'll probably still want to use a tool to adjust, whether it's a small screwdriver or something like that. You can use your fingernail or your thumbnail. Not always the most comfortable thing, but there's an option for it. There's also a fuel window on the back side right there, and there's also a display on the front that shows you how much battery life you have. Now, this is going to bring up another little quirk of this lighter that I'm not crazy about. The minute you open the lid, the butane starts flowing. So not wanting to waste butane, I'm also hesitant to leave the lighter open. And also, I don't want to just let butane out into the atmosphere if I can avoid it. But as you can see, there's 3 little dots there. Those 3 dots indicate how much of a charge you have left on the battery inside. And I'll get into that more in just a second. So as it depletes, it goes down 3 to 2 to 1. When it gets to 1, you definitely want to think about recharging it, because the moment that that battery dies, this lighter becomes effectively useless, because when there's no charge in the battery, there's nothing to provide the spark to light the butane, and you therefore don't have a lighter that will work. So beyond that, there's also your fuel valve down there on the right side. On the left side is your USB port, which you just plug this into any USB usable outlet. I have a little base. I have a bunch of USB stuff charging in. Works just fine. Takes a couple hours to charge if it's fully depleted, but generally fairly quick. If you put it in before you go to bed at night, it'll be charged up well before you get up in the morning. There is no punch cutter on this, if that's something that you're looking for. So fairly straightforward, but again, nice feel in the hand. Definitely usable. Definitely ergonomic. So happy in that regard. Now, to use the Icon 4, all you do is simply flip open the lid, lights up the display. That starts to flow butane, and all you have to do is just touch that, and you'll get a flame. Now, you're not going to see the flame here. Again, the lights are a little funky, but I'll show you more about that in a second. You don't have to keep touching the flame. There's nothing to hold in. As long as there's butane in it, the lighter will burn. To stop the flow of butane, simply close the lid, the display turns off, and the flame is extinguished. It's that easy. Now, I want to turn on the lights and get you a better look at the flame. And I'm also going to be comparing this to the Cassetti Big Flat, which is another wide flat flame lighter that I just reviewed not that long ago. Because I want you to see the difference in the size of the flame. And this is really important because this is one of the big things that I took an issue with the Vector Icon 4. But again, it's going to look better under the lights. So I'm actually going to turn the lights down here. And again, so this is going to be the Icon 4. Flip open the top, tap the flame. And this is about the setting I had it on for most of the usage. Again, it's a real faint flame, which I found to be really interesting, given that a lot of the other wide flat flames I've used from Cassetti and ST DuPont and Porsche Design have all been bigger. And this is about the setting I had it on. And I've tried turning it up, and it doesn't really make that much of a difference in terms of the, I don't call it the width, but sort of the thickness of the flame. So again, really thin there. I want to compare this to the Cassetti, which is now in my left hand. And as you can see, a little bit wider flame there. And this is a little awkward given the way I have the camera set up. But again, here is the Icon 4 in my right hand, the Cassetti in my left. And I really did like the Cassetti. I don't think it's always great for thinner ring gauge cigars. Definitely is more geared toward thicker cigars. But again, you can definitely see the difference in the flame size. All right, so let's turn that off and get the lights back up here for you. So one of the trade-offs that comes with this, and as you can see, I almost need to put this down because of that thin flame. The heat is absolutely just pulsating through the lighter. I mean, I'm having a hard time holding on to it. So I'm going to put that down. That is getting really freaking hot. And so that's one of the trade-offs of the Icon 4, is it because it has a smaller flame, it takes longer to light your cigar, and thus the heat just radiates through what I'm assuming is largely a metal body. Like I said, I can barely even hold this. Just want to see if this is cooled off. Yeah, oh man, that is really hot. So again, like, that's probably the biggest downside for using the Icon 4. And again, did I have it burning a little bit longer than I might have otherwise? Yeah, but again, I lit a lot of cigars with this, and that experience was certainly not the exception to the rule. Now, I will say, look, I like the look and I like the feel of the Icon 4. It's very ergonomic, very easy to use, fits in the hand well. And look, in general, I like the functionality of the lighter. The ignition is rock solid as long as it's charged. All you literally have to do is just tap the little screen there. It's not even a screen, I guess it's a display or a panel, whatever you want to call it. Again, this thing is still hot, like too hot to hold. And you'll get a flame. So if you have, arthritis or joint issues, that mechanical lighters aren't always the best thing for you, definitely an option to consider. There's a good sized fuel tank, and it does work fairly well. I just wish that the flame itself was just a bit thicker, hardier, fuller. I don't even know what the word is exactly, but as you can see, compared to that Cassetti Big Flat, which I really did like, it's just a thinner lighter, or a thinner flame, which in turn makes it take longer to light your cigar. Now, beyond that, there's also the reality of needing to keep the battery charged. As I said earlier, it's not usable when there's no charge. If you stay disciplined about this, it's not a problem. I didn't experience problems with it in the several weeks I used the Icon 4. But again, when it runs out of a charge, you need to find another lighter and get this thing recharged. So look, I would encourage you to check out the Icon 4 from Vector. For me, there are just enough things that landed on the side of being a no. I'd rather have a bit more substantial flame. I'm not crazy about the heat issue of the lighters, you can see, and it's been a couple of minutes now, and it's still quite hot. It's not quite like immediately hot, but there's still plenty of heat coming off this lighter. And look, I love the ignition, but honestly, it's not enough of a game changer for me to overlook the other issues. But as always, check out the lighter for yourself. Again, this is called the Icon 4. It's from Vector. And for the best coverage of the premium cigar industry, make sure to check out halfwheel.com.